Okay, so I'm not going to let you get off easy, Sandy. We're diving into the good stuff right away. Tesla's got a lower cost, more affordable model coming in Q4. They've been gossiping
Yes.
about this forever. Elon says it's basically a Model Y, but that seemed like he was kind of trying to downplay it. What do you think Tesla is cooking up for this more affordable vehicle model?
Okay, so our job really is to either work on new product development where we try and get the lowest possible cost with the highest amount of value and the highest quality and the lowest labor rate and all that other stuff at the design phase. Some of our other customers, they put out a product because they need to get it out in a hurry. And then we go in and redesign it so that you can reduce the cost or improve quality or all those other things. Anyway, we've torn apart every Tesla imaginable. And I can tell you for sure that there's a few things that are a little bit more expensive than they should be, a little too heavy, on and on and on. And so what I think is Lars is going to be coming up. He'll tell you for sure, but because he's, it'll be after 4. He'll probably be into the sauce. But anyways, he'll probably do. But I'm telling you right now, there's a few things like the gauge of the castings that could go down. And if I had to suggest how do we make it a little cheaper, I'd probably go with what they're doing on some of the Model Ys, which is a steel and cast front end, and that'll bring the price down. There are some features and functions that really and truly people may get the chance to use every once in a while, but they really it costs money, and that's that. And then the other thing, of course, is electronic modules. Tesla has the lowest numbers already, but incorporating or consolidating some of these ECMs could also bring down the cost. That said, there's also a bunch of controls that are inside of every Tesla that are redundant. And redundant just means that something else is doing the same job. They put them in there initially so that the car would be uber safe or would never have a problem. But after this many years, you know which ones are good, which ones are bad, and you know which ones you can say, okay, we don't need to do that anymore. And that's where I think most of the stuff's going to come from.
So a lot of low-hanging fruit on the engineering end. It's a little bit of a boring answer, Sandy. Like, I'm looking for something juicy. Like, what is it just,
He's going to remove 2 wheels. Would that be, yeah. No, I think that if you wanted to, you could make the front suspension quite a bit less money. It wouldn't feel like a BMW anymore then. You could do the same thing with the rear. You could, there's a lot of things that they do for sound deadening that you could get rid of if you wanted to. I really hope he doesn't touch that. I want the low-hanging fruit. And quite frankly, Tesla probably makes more money on a vehicle than everybody else put together. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to dive in now to the Cybercab because I feel like this is the big debate. Like, robotaxi launched. We've got Tesla versus Waymo bringing these robotaxis to the market, and there's the constant debate of how much does it cost to build a Waymo with all those sensors versus the Tesla. And since you're, the teardown titan, I figure you would have a good sense of that. Like, is Tesla's cost advantage at the vehicle level really that much better than Waymo's?
Yes. Next question.
Give us
Okay, so here's
give us
the
a
deal.
flavor of it. Like 30 grand to 150. Like, what are we talking
I don't know. I can tell you one thing for sure. The Tesla vehicle runs on relatively inexpensive cameras. The other guys have LiDAR. Okay, I don't know if you've checked the cost of LiDAR lately, but it's pretty expensive. And the only time I've ever seen a Waymo was right here in sunny San Francisco, and it was at an intersection pointed at a street light on a roundabout, and it didn't know what to do. So I'm thinking that if I'm going to get into a car that's self-driving, and I've already had a ride in the, he calls it the cyber taxi. I do not. That's the Model 2. Anyways, as far as
Cybercab.
the Cybercab, yeah. But I think that's probably going to turn into the Model 2, and people are going to buy it like me, who don't really want to drive all the time. I want to get from here to there. And I think every teenager on the planet, all they want to do is look at the cell phone and get from party to party. And that's going to be the perfect option. If I had a younger teenage child, I'd be saving my pennies to buy him one of those. I know that they'd get home every night. Yeah.
And you're a student of the automotive industry. How big of a deal is this autonomous revolution? Because I often think that this is as big as like almost when they went from the horse to the car itself. Now we go from the car to the self-driving car, like much bigger deal, much bigger impact than the electric car. So can you talk a little bit about what you think, how is this going to unfold? And do you think it's really that big of a deal?
Okay, so we're just catching up right now to horse and buggy. How many people here are really old? How many people here worked on a farm or lived on a farm that had horses? What did you do? What did you do when you get all drunked up and you got to get back home? You get in, you sit inside the buckboard, you go slap, and you say, "Home, Nellie," and then go to take a nap. We are just catching up to the horse and buggy. Yeah, and there you go. You think I'm kidding, don't you? There's guys in the back. This guy's full of shit. No, I am not. I watched it happen a lot of times. I grew up in French Canada, and I watched those farmers get juiced up on dandelion wine, and they made their own whiskeys or something. Anyways, they're all polluted, basically. Now they get inside the buckboard, slap, and they didn't use the horses for, we had tractors, but the horses were how you got home after one of those big French-Canadian events, soirees. Yeah.
We don't think of horses as being like an AI product, but I guess it's similar when you put it like that.
Oh, yeah. As far as driving is concerned, you can't beat them. Can't beat them. They want to go home to the barn. Yeah.
And so let's talk about under the hood. The horse has obviously got its brain. The Tesla's got its chip, which you famously said was like a fighter jet chip. I remember this is when you were almost like skeptical of Tesla, and then you did the teardown and saw the chip and were like, this is like out of the F-35. Like no car company is putting this in. So now that chip, interestingly enough, is like the puzzle piece for the next chapter of Tesla as the backboard of Optimus.
Right.
So did you see that coming? What are you thinking about Tesla's move into the humanoid market?
Well, I don't want to go to humanoid just yet, but from a robotic standpoint, this is like light years. So again, I'm pretty old, and I did not start out as an engineer. I worked on farms. I fixed farm equipment. My dad yanked me when I was 16 out of the farm, brought me to work. I turned 18 immediately, and I was 18 for 3 years while I was getting my toolmaker's journeyman's card. I worked on the very first Unimates. Look that one up. And they were dangerous as hell. In fact, one of our guys nearly got killed because it lost its mind. Why? Because we didn't have computers. I mean, a calculator was a big event. It cost you hundreds of dollars to buy one. All it did was add and subtract, multiply and divide. It was when I bought it, my dad thought I was nuts. Now we've got chips that can take the place of a whole board. And Tesla's got them. In fact, some of Tesla's like the what do you call it? The Domo chip. That thing's massive. That's nobody can even make the damn thing. And he's got more stuff like that on the board. We're looking at a revolution again. This is going to be the next step. Okay, and when we get to the point where we've got robots that can do some manual stuff, then the next thing would be a humanoid. Humanoids they may be a long ways off, but with the robotics, it's damn close to what I was hoping for when I was in my 20s. Yeah.
And so how's Elon going to build the robot? That's something he's talking about because he's throwing around all these numbers like it's going to be the fastest scaling product in Tesla history, but then it seems like a totally new kind of production line they're going to have to build to get these things pumping out. Do you have any insight into like the actual, like the machine that builds the machine for robots?
Right. So I mentioned that I was a tool maker. I switched gears, went back to school for a while, and I became the chief engineer of Valiant Machine Tool. That was the biggest automation company in North America at one time. So I have a lot of background on how to make things in a hurry and make them using sometimes robots, one-arm bandits. Most of the time they were pick-and-place kind of units. People called them robots, but they weren't. To make something like what we're looking at, that's going to have to take a fair amount of manual labor. However, I will tell you right now that when you design a product correctly, and when I tell you that, it means that first you get rid of every part using, we have a little method. If the part doesn't have to move and doesn't have to be a different material, it's a candidate for elimination or combination. And that's our little trick for getting to minimum number of parts. Screws, springs, and belts are poor quality drivers. So we try what we can do to get rid of those. Then you have to design the product for Bob. Bob is the blindfolded one-arm builder. If you can't build it with one hand behind your back and your eyes closed, it isn't ready for production yet. Now, people say, well, that must work for something, but not everything. Well, here's the deal. The Boeing 787, it went through that, and it turned out to be a whole lot less parts, a lot better quality, and it saved them from going bankrupt. We've worked on dozens and dozens of medical devices, same sort of deal. There's a trick, though. As soon as you get it to the point where a robot can put it together, a person can put it together faster, cheaper, better, and with higher quality. So I believe that what you're going to see is they're going to, because Elon has my little book, or everybody there, but I believe what's going to happen is you're going to see a product that's going to be refined so much, it'll basically snap itself together. And that's the other thing. I don't like screws. They all fall out. How many people know that threaded fastener is an incorrect term? The correct term is threaded unfastener. It has a 60-degree angle, which means that it will fall apart. You have to have 7.5 degrees, so 14 degrees rather, 15 degrees. That will lock together. Everything else was made to fall apart, and that was because of the Second World War, where everybody complained about Acme threads and Whitworth threads and square threads. It was too hard to get them apart because they kept falling apart. So they went with a 60-degree angle, and guess what? Now they fall apart all by themselves. So there you go. So I think that what's going to happen is Tesla's going to design this product so it snaps together right first time with the highest quality that you can get as far as the materials are concerned, and that's what's going to make it work. So right now, the robot, the Tesla, can walk and sometimes talk, and when they get tired, they sit down on a charger and they charge themselves up. There's a lot of things that go on here, right? So that's pretty good. Next phase, I think, is going to be human intervention. Okay, Grandma is old. Watch to make sure she takes her medicine. Just to watch to make sure the arm and eye. I think that's going to be the biggest revolution because, quite frankly, we have a lot of old people. Some of them are in the audience. One is up here on the stage. And I'm looking forward to having a robot get me a coffee. And quite frankly, at the price point, they've been talking around $150,000. Yeah, go and check out putting Grandma in an old age home. That will cost you that much every year. A robot will not. It just sits down, gets charged up, and does what you asked it to do over and over and over and over again. Are they going to be going on assembly lines? Yes. And that would be because of the 3 Ds, dirty, dangerous, and drudgery. That's where robots really excel. I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. And I definitely don't want anybody working in sludge and horror. That's where I see them taking over, and that's all good stuff, all of it.
Awesome. Yeah. And it feels like those like the low-hanging fruit kind of becomes a forcing function to integrating it into society more and more, like Neuralink. It starts with medical use cases and then eventually works its way down to the consumer. So switching gears a little bit to SpaceX, I was just watching one of your videos of did maybe the coolest thing ever, which is you were hanging at looked at at Starbase with Elon, just chit chatting about rockets. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to be at Starbase and what the vibe was like there?
Okay, so again, most people don't know what it is that we do at Munro, but right now our biggest contracts are with the Department of Defense. We're working on ships, we're working on aircraft, we're working on machine guns, we're working on bullets. And later on, we'll hopefully in about 3 weeks, we'll be working on ground vehicles. That's what we really did a lot of. In the olden days, we did do cars and stuff like that. We analyzed that kind of stuff. But everybody that worked at Munro at the time really wanted to get into spacey stuff. So I worked with Boeing on spacecraft, like the propulsion systems and stuff like that, different stages. And we would come up with different suggestions. And they were almost always, they were universally rejected if it went too far away from Dr. von Braun. He put down the rules and regulations based on the technologies of the time, 50s and 60s. That's a long time ago. Things have gone a long way. There's a lot of stuff that could happen and should happen. But Boeing at the time didn't want to do that. Neither did L'Oreal or Lockheed Martin or any of them. They didn't want to deviate too far from what was written down in the specifications. Now you look at what SpaceX has done. Now, we were up, you would guess, 60 or 70 feet in the air when I did that interview. And Elon moved out of the way so we could shoot a picture of what was going on below him. That is the correct way to make a rocket. That vertical, not laying on its side. Why is that? Because now I got to fight gravity left, right, and center. The thing turns into an egg. Now you've got to try and straighten it out. How do you do that? Torches, which ruin the capability of the materials because you've got to bring it up to critical temperature, and then it's allotropy. Everything changes. Its allotropy changes, which means that its structural integrity changes. Beating a thing into submission so that it's round again. Why don't you just build it this way? I've seen 3 other different rocket manufacturers, all building them the wrong way. Why? Because von Braun said to do that in 1950, blah, blah, or 1960. Why don't they change? Well, because we have a spec book, and that's the way we've always done it. Well, I came from one of the big rocket manufacturers, and that's the way we did it, so that's how we're doing it now. Nobody wants to change. When I looked at the SpaceX operation, I don't know when that was, 2021 or something like that. You know what it was? A tent and dirt floors. And I walked in on this, and oh my God, this is the best automation ever. This building looks like it should be making pharmaceuticals. It's as clean as a whistle. I mean, and you look at the automation that they've got for these building fixtures and whatnot, it's staggering how radically different it is from everybody else. And like I say, I've seen the rest of the world, and I actually went in and he said, hey, you want to take some movies of this? No. Why? Because they won't come out good. What do you mean? We'll help you out. No, they won't come out good. You're going to look like fools. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You're going to hate my guts, and I won't pump it anyway because I don't want to tear about. Wet dream is the wrong term. What was the other term? I don't want to tear down your dreams. Just leave the wet part out. So, I mean, Tesla goes right back to what's the best way. Everybody calls it first principles. That's true too, but what's the best way might not be a first principle. It might be just common sense. And that's sometimes what gets lost in the shuffle when people start to think somehow that there's something in a book somewhere that's going to tell you how to do something that's revolutionary. And maybe what you need to do is go back and just say, well, wait a minute. Are you sure? Question everything, believe nothing. I have this book, and all that stuff's in it. Yeah.
And I thought Elon gave you a really cool tidbit in the interview. He was like, there's a 50-50 chance we send 5 starships to Mars in 18 months. Do you think they're going to be able to pull that off?
When Elon makes, I caught him flat-footed on that one. But when he says, well, we could possibly, or it would be one, and he shifted gears really quickly. That means that I caught him. So I think he's going to probably have 5 ready to go, and they'll all be manned, or they'll all be full of whatever you're going to need when you get to Mars. And that is that. I believe that that's what's going to happen. Now, there may be a few bumps in the road. I think by January of next year, President Trump will be done with his negotiations and done pissing off the planet. And then we're going to get to business. I know that he has to change, I would say, 30 years of really stupid, bad government decisions. 30 years. And he's going to try to do it in a year. He'll be lucky if he lives a year. There's so many people that are pissed off at him, it ain't even funny. So was that part of what you wanted to have? Probably
No,
not.
that was an epic way to end it.
But yeah.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we got. Sandy, thank you so much. That was legendary. The legend, Sandy Munro himself. Let's give him a huge round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. Thank you, Gally.
Great.